I'm I'd like to welcome you all to our Thursday 1:30 p.m. session today with the DC Public Library, where we'll be having a people and stories session. And thank you so much for attending. I'm going to read our disclaimer before we get started. The WildTech DC Senior Digital Equity Program, its owners and presenters offer technical assistance, virtual health, well-being, information design for educational purposes only. You should not rely on the information and any apps or topics made by WildTech, including but not limited to mobile device applications and any social media pages maintained by WildTech, its owners or presenters as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, treatment, or legal advice. Thank you so much for letting me read the disclaimer. If you cannot see us, hear us, or see the screen, please let us know in the chat, and we would appreciate that. Let's make sure that we keep our TVs and cell phones in mind to give ourselves the most immersive experience. And as always, make sure you take notes and or screenshots so you can review the information for later on. But again, this session will be posted on our YouTube channel so you can review and take a look at the fun we had today as many times as you'd like. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce you all to Jordan. Jordan, if you could introduce yourself and your topic for today, thank you so much. And I really look forward to the session.
Thank you so much. Again, my name is Jordan, Jordan Johnson. I work with the DC Public Library Outreach and Inclusion Department, and I'm here today for our People in Story program. So again, we will read a story, and then we will have a mini discussion afterwards. So let me start by sharing my screen. Okay. You guys should be... Okay. You guys should be able to see my screen now, correct?
Yeah, you're good to go, Jordan.
Awesome. All right. Before we get into that, I would like to bring your attention to the DC Public Library app. Let me click on that for a second. Something that we reviewed before, I just want to bring up today, if it wants to load. Okay. So here on the main page, if you click attend an event, come down to book clubs, you have a whole array of opportunities to join an array of different book clubs. So if you just click on one, if you wanted to join the Toni Morrison Book Club, click there, see upcoming meetings, and they have all of their future items. They don't have one coming up, but in the future, they would be able to find it there, okay? So I'm going to copy this. That allows me to... I'm going to then post it in the chat. Okay. Give everyone a chance to pull that up. Okay. This will just be the story that we will read today. And I'm not going to force you to listen to me read or force you to read, but once you have it pulled up, found this awesome site that will read it for us. So I'm going to get started. And if you can't hear it, please let me know.
A woman's journey back, Northeast Regional. A woman's journey back home on the Northeast Regional train as she prepares to close a chapter of her life that has always felt half-written. By Laura V. Ely. 337. It's the number of miles from New York to Virginia. It's approximately 3 two-hour movies, or a season and a half of Insecure. It can also be calculated as 3.5 episodes of The Read, depending on if Kid Fury goes too deep in hot topics. It's 6 hours of my time that I have to dedicate to you. Funny. 337 feels like the number of calls I was too busy to take. If only I'd listened, and come when they first called me. What if I hadn't waited? Would things have been better? Watching the fields go from green to a coarse yellow, because of the blazing sun as Faith Evans serenades me with the upbeat yet somber melodies of You Used to Love Me. I think about the good times. I think about the laughs, sitting in your tooted-up Ford pickup, listening to what I now know as Sam Cooke, your favorite. I think about the K-Swiss and Air Maxes that would appear on the porch every 2 weeks, because your friend worked on a truck and gave you a deal. I think about the smothered chicken and rice you'd pack up every Sunday you came to visit. 337 miles to dream about the life I wish we had. To imagine you there dancing with me at my wedding, and giving me advice that only someone with your experience could provide. I mean, you didn't get your rough hands from picking daisies. We ran out of time, and now these thoughts bully me. I turn off the music that has ironically switched to So Good by Destiny's Child, the original when Beyoncé sounded like she still ate shrimp and grits. It's hard to feel the rhythm when we are so out of ours. Being on the train usually isn't this bad. Yes, you have your characters. The white woman who clutches her bag every time the young boy goes to the bathroom, like we all aren't on a train, and obviously don't have the money to make better transportation choices. The man with colorful layers of clothes, gray locks, and a bag of knickknacks. Usually, I glance and go on about my business. But today is different. Today, the presence of these side characters screams at me like a drill. You know, the one you hear when you get a cavity packed. One woman in particular grabs my attention. She is wearing Keds, khaki pants, and one of those peasant tops seen in the Chadwick's catalog. Decorated with prominent purple veins. Her neck also sports an Alex and Ani necklace. Very southern white woman. I know she's headed to Virginia. She looks like every teacher I've ever known. I watch her wondering why she had to take this trip. My stare reaches her face. She isn't happy. In fact, she isn't really giving anything. Her face is blank, like she doesn't have the strength to muster an emotion. I notice she keeps folding her lips, as if she is trying to self-soothe. She won't look straight, but not out of fear. Her body reacts to the feeling of movement, but her eyes can't be displaced from the window, as if the answer to all her problems is out there. What is she looking at? My thoughts are interrupted by the conductor. Next stop, Wilmington, Delaware. Only 217 miles to go. But these 217 miles aren't as bittersweet. Maybe it was inspired by my ear's introduction to You Don't Know Me by T.I. when I place my AirPods back in. Or the fact that my snacks have dwindled down to the stale pack of Cheetos I threw in the bag once I got the call. But I'm angry. I should have prepared for this, you know. It's hard to be empathetic about anything when it comes to you for too long. Everything has always been your fault. It's your fault that I have to take this trip. Your fault I cried in front of those people at work. When you know I'll have to work twice as hard to build that barrier back up. It's just like you to make me falter. Your fault I don't talk about you. Your fault I can only smile when people share their experiences, and nod as I understand. I have my own history of events. And that's your fault. Some are filled with joy and smiles, but most are saturated with fear and anxiety.
Oh no. All right, guess it cut off. But did you know what? Did you know my heart beats faster when I saw you coming down the street? Did you know? Next stop, Baltimore, Maryland. I take a deep breath, and for the first time in 4 hours, I look at myself. I'm wearing an oversized college tee with grungy sweatpants that should be only allowed at home. My hair is in a bun of a knotless braids that should have been taken out last week, but the time has gotten away from me. Time. My eyes are puffy, and I haven't slept in days. I am a shell of myself. In a funny twist of fate, I look like a woman staring out the window. Thanks for that, I laugh bitterly. I stare at the back of the leather Amtrak seat, almost like I'm expecting it to come alive, as the furniture did on the show I used to watch on Playhouse Disney, and suck me into a different world, a world that doesn't involve these 337 miles, a world where you did everything I needed you to do and then some. I probably look crazy. Needing an instruction, I open my work laptop and I'm bombarded with Slack messages that range from "Are you okay?" to "Here if you need me," and copious heart emojis. Black, of course, because seeing a Black woman a normal red heart isn't progressive enough. I begin to work which triggers my status to active. Catnip for performative white people after seeing Black women's emote. Things can get hard here, but we are always amazed at everything you do. Stick to it. Are you fucking serious? I shut my MacBook in my eyes. If it wasn't enough for me to be attacked by my feelings for you, now these people get to create their own idea of what happened. Is this payback for the time it didn't make? It feels like someone is pressing against my chest. Breathe. My eyes begin to water, but I don't want to be the Black girl crying on the train. That won't be my story. So I bring my knees to my chest and hug myself. To an unknowing eye, I am a woman getting comfortable in her train seat. Next stop, Washington, D.C., Union Station. We'll be there in a few minutes to switch engines and crew. I replay my conversation with myself over the last few hours. It exhausts me. Finally, tired of thinking, I decide to rest. When I wake, there are only 3 people in this train car: me, the white woman, and a young Black guy. I feel like we are in Virginia. It's ironic that initially 337 miles made me frustrated, but now I wish I could start them over. I wish I could turn this remaining hour into 10, because I know next stop, Staple Mill, makes the moment real. Beginning reminiscent and pissed at one thing, sadness is another. Sadness is earth-shattering. Sadness feels unfixable. Sadness is like epilepsy. An ellipsis. Sadness makes the time I took off work bereavement, and it makes us a thing of the past. My shuffle has turned to What Am I Going to Do by Tyrese, my narcissistic favorite. This song makes me think about when I played make-believe music videos, dreaming that I'd premiere my video on 106 in Park with an unaccompanied access granted episode because all the best videos got them. Of course, never told you that. Of course, never told you that. I've never got to tell you a lot of things, huh? I mumble the chorus to myself and sway. My saying came from you. I remember you singing to me in the truck, practicing for another failed attempt to bring your sinning self to church. I've always sat in awe whenever I got the chance to actually really look at you. Your smile pristine with a gold tooth for a flare. Your neck adorned with a gold chain. Skin as so black it felt deep. Black and gold, which is ironic given the organization you pledged your life to. You still meant a lot to me, even when I didn't think you felt the same. To have so much disconnect, I did a lot to make you proud. I hope you are aware. I left to my, if I'm sorry, I'm left to my own devices for the last pass part of the track. No memories, no moments to wonder, no white women to analyze, no anger to shift through, nothing to self-critique, and both my work phone and computer have a low battery. Just me and the real things that await me once this trip stops, the real conversation and questions, the real hugs, the real casket that will hold you taking your forever rest. I fold my lips like the white woman before, place my eyes on the window and look at the coarse yellow fields, planting my eyes there for something. 37, the number of miles it took on the Northeast Regional. Next stop, I'm sorry, the number of East Regional to lay my eyes on one last time. Next stop, Staple Mills. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and apologize that it cut off midway. You had to endure my reading, but here we are.
Thank you again, Jordan, for going over that story with us. I definitely recommend you pull it back up in case folks want to, go to certain parts. But any initial thoughts on the story that Jordan just read? Anything that you took from it? Please raise your hand in Zoom. Any thoughts on the story? Okay. We got one hand so far. Again, looking for as many different thoughts because that's what helps us learn together. So thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Booker, for sharing. What did you think of the story?
think that girl, the young lady or the young man, is more of a young lady story because it's not a man. And she's going to pay her last respects to her very last loved one. That's what the story basically is about. That's just my opinion.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And then Gracie, any thoughts on the story for today?
Yeah, I think well, definitely reminiscing about her past, and based on some things I noticed, I think she has some regrets, but it's not too much she can do about changing anything. So she's going home and pay her respects. Seems like it's her father to me. I don't know. That's basically it.
Okay, thank you for that.
Mhm.
Mhm. All right. And then Louise, any initial thoughts on the story?
I think she's going a long way from New York to Virginia to show respect to somebody. At first, I thought it maybe was a lover. Then I thought maybe it's just a family member. But she had enough time, 337 miles. She had enough time for a lot of things to bombard her mind. And so she keep going over all the things that right now she is quiet, even though other people are in the train, but she can think about all the mistakes or all the things that she didn't do.
Thank you for that.
All right. And Miss Angela, what did you want to share about the story? Any initial thoughts?
Um, from what I gather, I thought it very interesting. She was mentioning that the different states she was going through, and I also thought it interesting that she brought up Union Station, and that the story also is it seems to be it brings the realization to real life because some of us live in the area.
Mhm.
And it also made me think because when I go home, I catch Amtrak myself, so you can think a lot, even though my trip is 880 miles away. But it's just interesting because you do think a lot. It gives you time to think, and you meet a lot of different people.
Thank you for that.
Okay. Any other thoughts on the story? I guess if you've ever ridden on a long train ride, you can definitely connect with the story and just imagining, all the different experiences. So I feel like this is a very relatable story for a lot of folks, especially if you've traveled a lot.
Well, that was going to be my next prompt or question, Alex. Have you ever taken this type of trip or journey before? And again, does the transportation change? So again, whether you're doing this on the Amtrak or a bus or a plane, would that experience have been different? Because initially when I thought about this, it kind of reminded me when I was in college and my sister, whose husband's military, had moved to North Carolina. And so my first time visiting them, I got on the Amtrak down to Fayetteville, North Carolina. And so it was definitely, again, my first time on a train and my first time actually traveling south. So it was definitely an experience for me. And now, doing that versus being on a plane, or even sometimes now, if I'm going to Fayetteville, I'll drive myself. So even being in the car, traveling south and just seeing what I'm able to see versus being a driver versus being a passenger versus being in the air, it kind of changes your journey in a way.
Yes, yes. Any experiences? Please raise your hand. We'd love for you all to share. We got 2 hands so far. Again, we got about almost 40 folks on. Love all of your experiences. Okay, Miss Celeste, thanks so much for joining.
It kind of reminded me when I used to go to Baltimore to visit my mom in the senior citizen home. And I took Amtrak, and it was interesting. And I took Amtrak to Baltimore, and I didn't like it. but I had to go see my mother who was in a nursing home. But it was interesting. But I did it for her to see her and handle, business affairs. But it was interesting.
Okay, thank you for that.
Mhm.
We got Miss Louise again. Thank you so much.
It reminded me of traveling from Jamaica to this country. And I've never been in an airplane before. And I grabbed my seat so tight. And I think about all sort of things. I didn't realize that snow was real. And winter, even if the sun is up, it is cold. And then I got to this country in Baltimore, and it was so cold. I had on a coat somebody loaned me, but all sort of things just go around in your mind when you're up in the air and you left your family behind and you don't know where you're going. And the person to pick you up, you don't even know them. You don't even have a picture. And so when I got to the airport, somebody had a little sticker up looking for Louise, and I'm like, oh my Lord. It took me back. It was kind of sad, because you want to move to another place and enjoy the change, but at the same time, you don't know what's ahead.
Well, especially Jamaica to here, that's like almost polar opposites in the weather department.
People say you're stupid living in the sunshine. I didn't know. So I thought that was like, take me back a little bit, especially when my umbrella blew away with the bus I was taking a bus one day, and the bus, because of the wind, my umbrella went under the bus and it just crushed up, and I cried. I think I need to go back home because it was snowing.
Uh-huh. All right, well, thank you for that.
Thank you, Louise. And then we got Miss Gracie. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah. When I first left home in the early 60s, I moved from Georgia to Buffalo, New York, and I would take the Greyhound bus home. That was like 16 hours.
Mm.
I would do like the young lady. I would think about family, the ones I left, the fun I had, who I was going to see when I got back, what I was going to do, and most definitely what I was going to eat. I love to eat. And then when they would call out, like the next stop, then I would look for landmarks, because I would do it so often. I looked for the landmarks and what I remembered when I went through that area the last time. So it would help me to think and about things like that. So time would pass faster for me. That's what I remember most.
All right, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, all, for sharing. Anyone else would like to share a train, a bus, a plane, an experience in relation to the story?
And if not, I was wondering, I forgot the gentleman who mentioned it earlier. So my next question would be, who do you think the young lady, or what was the reason the young lady was traveling back home for? And particularly, who was she going to see, or who was the reason she was going home? And again, there's no right or wrong answer. This is, again, just speculation based off of what you felt.
Okay, great question, Jordan. Thank you so much. Okay, again, going based on the order, appreciate it. We got Mr. Booker. What do you have to share?
She was going home to a funeral.
Yes, Mr. Booker was going.
And all the memories and everything was just going down the road as she was traveling. And she was thinking about this particular person. Because I'm talking about me. It's one of the things that I traveled when I came from, South Carolina, coming to the District of Columbia. And coming up the road, you're seeing the changing of the seasons and you're seeing the changing of the people. But then again, you're still looking around at the people that are on the train with you and the little kids is running around and mama not taking care of them and so forth. Here I'm in a solemn mode. I'm thinking about what I got to face when I get to this particular funeral and so forth. I don't care what I look like right now. I didn't change any clothes, anything. All I know is I got to get there because it's all up to me. Nobody else might be there, but I know I got to be there. That's my opinion. I could be wrong.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Booker. Appreciate it. We got Geraldine next. Thank you. Geraldine, you there? You may be having a similar challenge as before, so just let us know when you.
Okay,
Geraldine.
can you hear me?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I think she was going to a funeral, and the reason I think that is because she left in a hurry. She said that, you know, everybody likes to get their hair done, and she said she hadn't had her hair done, her hair had grown out, so she just pulled it back in a bun, and she said it should have come out last week. And then she said that she had on some baggy pants and a school t-shirt, an old t-shirt. And I feel like when you're going home and you're in a hurry, that's what you'll put on, you know, just to wear. You don't care what you look like, just as long as you get there. So I think it was a funeral, and I don't know whose funeral it was. Probably somebody said her father. Yeah, you know, it was probably her father. And you know, when you're on the train, you have a lot of time to think. And I think she was just thinking and reminiscing and thinking about what she'd do when she'd get there, and thinking about things she hadn't done or hadn't said to the one who was deceased. So that's what I think.
Okay, thank you for that.
Uh-huh.
I know that's right, Geraldine.
Yeah.
Thank you. We got Miss Marie. Thank you so much for sharing.
Hello, hi everybody. I think about the time when at 17 years old, when I left home for the first time going on the Amtrak to New York. And I was very excited, wanted to get there because I was going to start a new life because I wanted to get a job. But here at the time, you couldn't get a job unless you were 18. And I graduated from school at 16. So at 17, I was going to New York. When I got there, I got a job, but it was an experience with everybody rushing and everything. So that was my experience.
Thank you for sharing.
Yep. Thank you, Miss Marie. Appreciate it. Yep, yep. As a reminder, just make sure to keep our TVs and cell phones in mind, and don't forget to lower your hands as well. Thank you so much.
Well, again, I was going to add on to, I agree with Mr. Booker. I do believe that the main character is going home for a funeral, probably like a father or a father figure, or someone that I feel like that was from their hometown that they were really, really close to. And in my head, again, I have an overactive imagination that they might have had a falling out. So again, they weren't talking, hadn't talked in a few years or something like that. And then something tragic happened. And now they're going home and dealing with the fact that they will never be able to, again, speak again, rectify any situation or thing they had. And so I think this like now is kind of coming because again, it was a, like I said, half written chapter, but now I think at this point, the chapter has ended itself. Anyone's final thoughts about the characters? I know some people said they like to do similar things or things. How many people like to people watch and come up with your own stories about them when you're traveling? That's one of my favorite activities to do. Again, very overactive imagination.
Yes, thank you so much. We got a couple of hands for that. If I understand your question, Jordan, just any final thoughts on the characters or the story? It was a great story, by the way. I took a chance to read through it a couple of times, and it's a good story. And any experiences, I guess, on those trips? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. We got Anne first.
Well, I too had a lot of thoughts on like you, Jordan. When I travel, sometimes I look at the people um that get on the plane and some of the outfits they wear, and you wonder what were they thinking. It's cold on here and you're half dressed, and that different things like that. But um I know that lately when I'm getting on a plane, I'm going home for sadness because it seems like all my family that's older than me has decided that they've had enough of this world and they're going on to the next one. So, and I people watch too, especially when I used to ride the bus, because people will get on the bus and they act suspicious, or um, they're doing all kinds of things. And I find even sitting in the waiting room at the doctor's office, if somebody's acting kind of nervous or weird and they keep patting their pocket or doing something, you kind of get nervous and scared with things that are going on, and your imagination runs wild with you. Are they going to start shooting up the waiting room, or you know all kinds of crazy stuff? So and I too thought that she was going home to deal with a family situation, and I thought maybe it was her mother.
Mhm. It could be like someone, like I said, someone important, but I felt like it was definitely they've had like a disconnect recently.
Yeah, yeah. Is
But
that
Mm.
the end of the story? What was that the end of it? Was that?
yeah, it's just a short story, so it's just a little bit of a segment. Yeah.
I wonder if somebody wrote a book on that, because that would have made a very interesting book.
Hmm.
A short
Yeah.
book, a small book. Mm-hmm. You
Mm.
know, I don't know. Where?
The link to the stories again is in the daily email and the chat as well. So make sure you reread it and check out and see if there's anything else. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank
Thank you.
you, Jordan. Yeah,
Thank.
as always, you are most interesting. Love you too, baby.
Oh, thank you so much, Anne. Really appreciate it. All right, we got some more final thoughts, etc. Love it. We got Miss Jeanette. Thank you so much for coming on.
I too like, and I like to people watch. And sometimes, especially with so much going on, I do imagine somebody's behind me. I'm like, do they have something they're going to hit me with or something? My mind wanders crazy too. Because I had a friend that got attacked. So that's, sometimes that's in my head. But, I was thinking too, so much we always think they're going home to a funeral, but it's just as anxiety filled when you're going to visit a relative and they're near to dying. And especially if you don't have a good relationship with them, you're thinking, and if they're still cognizant, what can I say to them? We know we're not feeling good toward each other. How should I react? So sometimes I think that can be the why a person's going. Not the person has already died, but they're in the process, and you still have that relationship that you have to deal with.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yep. Thank you, Miss Jeanette. Really appreciate it. And I guess, just to clarify, everything that you all shared is definitely very valid. We got to keep things in mind, especially in our most recent years. But isn't people watching, creating stories for based off of something, maybe their appearance or what they're doing or what they're saying, and just thinking of how their lives are maybe like living out. Isn't that
Yeah. So like
what
when I say people watch it again, it's just more of a you see someone in public and you see them walking together. Again, it could be a father and a daughter, but again, you see them, they're a couple on a date, and it's their first time meeting, and you create a whole scenario for these people that makes no dollars or cents. It has no bearings. It's just I saw two people, I gave them a story. Again, people in stories.
Isn't that what authors do though? They get
Yeah.
inspiration from outside. So I mean that's just a way to create
Mm.
something that's not in real life. Some anything that can put you out of this world for just a minute or so, like basically what stories are, can really be soothing and comforting and also learning as well. So yes. Oh, we got some more hands. Thank you so much. We got Miss Louise. Any final thoughts on the story or any experiences while traveling?
I was thinking if I go to the grocery store, like she said, the white woman was clutching her pocketbook when the black guy passed by to the bathroom. And I thought, we do the same thing. We go to the grocery store and it's getting late or dark, and you try to notice everything around you. And you see some young people coming and they look strange. So you hold on to your pocketbook, put it in front of you or something. So I thought about it. I said, we do the same thing when we have enough time to check it out, see what's in your surroundings. So you have to be careful. So she was doing that because she said the lady clutched her pocketbook close.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's a little bit of stuff was going on there with the color thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. No, I love that you all are like sharing details that you remember from the story. I love that you guys are so inquisitive. So thank you so much. And we got Miss Celeste. Any final thoughts on the story?
Yeah, I thought that she was going home to a loved one, someone she was very close to and special because she said, "You used to love me." And she started, reminiscing and naming these songs. So I think it was someone she was really close to and really loved, and they didn't have, like others said, a really good relationship. So I think it was her funeral as well. And as far as people watching, I'm in my phone or reading a book. My sister is a people watcher. I'm not. So I just don't. But I think it was someone she was very close to. And my sister will people watch and she'll point out, was he so and so? And I go, they're just doing what they do. So I don't notice that. So yeah, I think it was a funeral.
Okay. Anybody else? One thing I thought was interesting is some of the songs and things they chose, and they named the podcast "The Read." I actually listened to that. Does anyone else listen to any podcast out there? That's one of my a good hour and a half of listening that I can pop in real quick, and one episode of The Read will get me through my morning traffic or my evening traffic, depending on when they release their newest episodes, especially on Thursdays.
Oh, I love that fun question, Jordan. What do you do while you're traveling? Any responses? Especially for podcasts. We talked about the podcast app a few times on the iPad, and that's just another great way to take advantage of that, or maybe some music or reading books. What do you all guys do when you travel abroad? Or
There was a question in the chat. The actual name of the podcast is The Read. The Read with Kid Fury and Crystal. They use a lot of explicit language, just to give you a heads up.
I remember traveling playing card games with the passengers in the car, like Uno or like Go or Gin Rummy or Go Fish. So that was fun, back in the day.
Particularly back in the day, I would always have me an audiobook or two downloaded, or I would have me a nice playlist. I would have like a really, really nice playlist. And now if I'm on a plane, particularly for a couple hours, I'll have like my Netflix that's offline, have those episodes downloaded or a movie, and I am just in my own little world, zoning out, cracking up.
Okay, we got Renee on for her travel, what she does while she travels. Hello, Renee.
Hi. Usually I bike into work, so I typically listen to podcasts then or an audiobook when I travel. Oh, I like both, but I also people watch when I get tired of listening to a book.
Depending on how good the book is, it might get me to people watch. Because then, like you said, now it's got my brain going. And I'm looking like, oh, okay, this person could be in this story as well.
Thank you so much. And we got Anne. Thank you so much for sharing.
Well, when I traveled with the kids, I always had activities for them to do, crayons and stuff, and I'd have a good book. Now that you can have a book on the iPad and on my something somebody just did, the Kindle, I can read on that. The last time I went home, I was writing the eulogy, and the person sitting next to me happened to be a minister, and he said, "You seem deep in thoughts," and he said, "And you look sad." I said, "I'm going home, and I'm going to have to deal with some crazies," and so I was telling him about it, and he told me, he said, sometimes, he said, you have to pray. I said, "Oh, I do that a lot." I said, "My granddaughter laughs because I talk to Jesus in the bathroom," and she and she said she told her grandmother, her great grandmother, she said, "Mama, mom, great Nana's in the bathroom talking to Jesus." She said, "She's taking a bath. Doesn't she think Jesus is mine?" And I so we thought that was a big joke, so we go along with that. But sometimes I guess you do need to get deep in thought. But that conversation gave me some deep perspectives that I carry today, and that's been about 4 years ago. And he uh, just gave me a renewed faith. And a lot of people think because Catholics don't talk to other people, that's not true. I grew up in a Catholic Baptist Lutheran family, so uh, uh, my religion was chosen by my mother, and I was given the opportunity to stay or go. So sometimes when you interact with people and you start talking about faith, you learn a lot of ways that people help you to cope with the world, and especially in these days and times, we've got to have faith. We have faith to discuss different things, and sorrow and anger and upset and whatever. And so I find that a lot of times when I'm traveling or just sitting on the back porch, I might have a book, but I also might have some readings, some Bible readings, just to uh clear your mind, put good things inside of it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anne. We really appreciate it. Thank
Thank
you.
you for letting me share.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well,
Sorry, Jordan. Did you have something else for us, or did you have any final thoughts on the book?
no, that was going to be it. I was like, that I am done. I am finished. That is all. So you can have time to do your poll at the end.
Okay, yes. Well, Jordan, any final, why did you choose the story for us today? And any highlighted events for Women's History Month from DC Public Library? For one of our sessions, I did highlight some of the events that you guys are doing, but again, any final thoughts on why you chose the story and any highlighted events from DC Public Library?
So I don't have any highlighted events. I'll come prepared with that next time. I'll come
Okay.
coming up.
Next week.
Yeah,
Next week for us.
next week. Yes. And the reason I chose this story, just because again, I felt like we are always in a position of transition, or a journey, whether it's good, bad, whether we're going to learn something or not. And, it kind of said came through the area. So why not mention DC, Union Station? And again, I'm thinking many of us have been on the train for one reason or another. So we could relate and we could discuss.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Jordan. We really appreciate your discussion with us, and I hope you all really enjoyed this mini book club as I have as well. And learning a lot about ourselves allows us to read together and learn from each other. So let's all say thank you so much to Jordan for presenting our session today, and make sure you all stay on for our poll so you can let us know how you felt. Thank you so much, Jordan. Have a wonderful rest of
Thank
your
you,
day.
Jordan. That was
Thank you,
Thank you,
Jordan. Had a
Jordan.
wonderful time.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Jordan.
Jordan.
Thank you.
Right on,
Always
brother.
stay
Good
insightful.
God bless.
Brandon.
God
Thank you
bless.
so much,
Peace and
Jordan.
blessings.
Hey, enjoy your day.
All
Thank
right
you so
now.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you,
did
Jordan.
it again, Jordan. Thank you.